Hey guys, welcome back to Jenny from the Chopping Block. And today we have guest star Mara Marchesi, intuitive and creative coach, as well as podcast host and speaker. So, me and Mara actually met at Jake Ballantyne's summit in Jersey. Was that last year?
Yeah, November, was it? November, October.
And it was just, it was so beautiful. We had such a good time and learned so much. And it was just an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful for him and for all of you guys, and to be able to have that time with you was amazing. I was actually talking to my dad yesterday because we were rocking out in the kitchen to Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah, oh my God.
And I was like,
I was so happy.
He has a lot of hits.
Oh yeah, look, I have it here. So,
oh my gosh, wow.
I know I said that to Jake already when we were there, but I said to him, this was the highlight of my whole days here. Like I always wanted to go to the Soul Kitchen, so that really made me happy.
Beautiful. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah,
because it was awesome.
Well, you mean the whole 4 days, or you mean the restaurant?
I want to talk about Soul Kitchen right now, but we could dive back into the 4 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me today, by the way. Well, to me, it's like I have this thing about US and everything related to it. And I've been a Bon Jovi fan since I remember. And so when I decided to come for the summit, I was really, really excited to come to Jersey, to come to New York. And so I was talking to Ryan. It's like, oh, maybe we can take you there. I'm like, yay! And so I was like, okay, so are we going? Are we going? And then when he eventually said, okay, I think we can go because it's not far. To me, it just incredible what he does. Aside from being a massive fan of him, I just think what he's doing for other people and using his fame is incredible. And I want him on my podcast, although it's called Intuitive Queens, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to create another one just for him. But I really, I always had this thing of wanting to meet musicians and people that inspire me. And music for me is important. So I always did that throughout my life whenever I could. And I met a lot of celebrities. And to me, it's really like, I want to know more about you. So it would be, that was my drive to go there and to see what he's doing. And I just had a really good time. There was such a beautiful energy in that place. And so, it was a great experience. I loved the whole, for me, it was just 4 days, which I know it's crazy coming from Europe to only be there 4 days, but I'm crazy. So yeah. And I love being with you guys. There was such a beautiful energy among all of us. So yeah.
We learned so much. And Bon Jovi, his restaurant, it's called Soul Kitchen. And it's basically like you go in, if in the community, if you have money, you pay a meal, but if you don't, then the donations that are paid on your behalf will cover the meal. And all the people that work there, like all the chefs are like guest chefs in the area. And the people that, serve the tables and stuff, they're all volunteers as well, right?
Yeah. I just loved it. Yeah.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience. So Mara, I want to talk more about your intuitive coaching and your creative coaching. I know that you do remarkable things in the world, and I want to hear more about how you got into that and what that looks like for you right now.
Oh, well, so I'm from Italy, but about almost 11 years ago, I moved to London because I just felt every time I was coming here, it just felt like this was my place. Don't ask me why. It was like an intuitive feeling, like my gut feeling. Yeah. I'd been to other places in Europe and I never had the same feeling. And to me, this was so. at some point I decided to move. And a friend of mine before I left was like, look, I just read this book. It reminds me of you. You have to read it. I'm like, okay. So I bought The Secret.
Oh.
And it actually helped me so much to go through the first few years, because when I moved here, I was a little bit naive at the time, so things didn't go as I planned them. And so I struggled for a few years, but I was so happy to be here that I managed to go through. And yeah, and so in reading The Secret, I really started to align to what Jack Canfield said. So for whatever reason, out of all the people in The Secret, the ones that for me stood up was Jack Canfield and a couple of other more, but Jack Canfield was the one that. And so I started to, from that, I obviously started to watch videos of Les Brown and Tony Robbins and whoever was doing this at the time. And I started to read books about it. And I started to implement all the strategies, and I could see things were working. So I started to use those things, talking to people. I've always been someone that likes to give advice, and I've never been judgmental. Like, to me, you can tell me anything. I'm never gonna say something. So people were always telling me, I like to talk to you because you don't judge. And I was like, why? Who am I to judge you? So combine all of those things, like me naturally being someone that likes talking, and realizing that what I was, the strategies that I was reading and learning, I was applying to myself and they were working. So I started to suggest them to other people, to a point where a couple of people were like, why don't you do this? Instead of watching those people, why don't you become a life coach? I was like, what, me? No, that's like too much. And like, no, Mara, you're doing it. And so after a while that people kept telling me this, I started to think, okay, maybe it makes sense, because actually this makes me happy, because people were starting to be like, oh, I need to talk to you because I know I will feel better. And, you know, when you start to hear this more than once,
Wow.
You're like, oh, okay, I actually feel good about it. Like, I feel good after I know that you feel good. So I was like, okay, there is something here. And so I started to say, I will become a life coach. I want to become a life coach, but I was doing nothing aside from reading and watching videos, but I wasn't really taking action. And then 5 years ago, my dad passed away suddenly, quickly, not expectedly.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and so the year after I went through my healing process for that year, where I tried to figure out what was going on and how I could actually contain myself and just, you know, go by, the first thought that I had was, okay, so what if something happens to my mom tomorrow? I have nothing. I've created nothing. I am nothing. And so that really hit me hard, because I was like, I've been dreaming about a lot of things. I moved to London to make my dreams happen, and I've done absolutely nothing. Like, I can't say I managed to do what I wanted to do, because I haven't. And so after the first year, where the focus for me was to just get by and heal as much as I could, and try to get to a place where I could feel good again in terms of like going out and doing things and planning my life, really. Because that year I just focused on work and on just trying to feel good enough to go by, because it really hit me hard. I could never really think, I didn't know my dad was that sick, and things just went down very quickly. So it was really shocking for me, and so the year after, I signed up to a life coaching course, which is called the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, and it's all for women, and it's
What is it?
online.
It's called
Beautiful You Coaching Academy.
Got it.
It's been created by this Australian lady, who did it because at some point she had too many one-on-one clients, so she started to do group coaching, but she still had too many people, and so she created an academy, which was exactly what I needed, because it was gentle. It wasn't based on you become a coach and you're gonna make a lot of money, because I was talking to a lot of different coaches. They were promising, the first thing they were promising me were a lot of money, and I was like, yeah, but this is not why I want to be a coach. Yes, of course I want to make money, who doesn't? But my point is, I really want to be of service. I really want to help. And so this academy was perfect. It was feminine, it was spiritual. Beautiful. And it was online. So I had a full-time job, and I was studying after work or at the weekends, and it was very manageable. And so I met a lot of amazing women, and I started to really also, work on myself more and get more into my spiritual journey. And so when they were asking, there were exercises to try to figure out your niche. And so I'm there responding to a couple of questions. And I'm like, what am I doing? Of course, I'm an intuitive and creative coach. I am. I've always been intuitive, like massively. And creativity is part of me in everything I am and everything I do. And so that's how I started to be, okay, I'm an intuitive and creative coach. And then I was like, okay, so who do I coach now? I was like, I'm going to coach creative people. So I went out and started to coach. So the first few clients were obviously pro bono, so that was easy. And then I started to go looking for clients. And artists don't seem to, or people that want to have a creative career, obviously they need a big push, or they need to be at a point where they actually want to make a move. And I was just starting out. So people that wanted to do creative stuff were always like, oh, I don't have the money to pay you. And I was like, okay, this is not working. And so at some point, I got into a point where I was so stressed out because I was trying to get clients because I wanted to leave my job so badly that I got really tired. And that was 2018. And that year I was going to break through to success with Jack Canfield.
Wow.
And so I said to myself, it was April. I was like, okay, I think I'm just going to stop and relax now. Because I've been on a roll since I signed up and I started studying. I love studying so much. I was like, I never loved studying, never in my life. Studying what? Let me go out. But I was like, no, sorry, I can't go out. And my friends are like, what? I was like, yeah, no, I need to study. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I need to study. I loved it so much. And so, so I stopped looking for clients. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be there for a week. I'll figure that out once I come back. And so, so my first time in America, I went to see Jack Canfield, which was a dream that came true because I always wanted to work with him. And it was just an incredible week because the energy was amazing. I met amazing people. And that's actually where I met Jake. I actually didn't even talk to him that much. It was the last night. We were having the party, and at some point I went out and he was talking to some of the people that I had met there that I was spending the week with. So I started chatting with him very quickly, gave him what was my business card at the time, which was made by me. I didn't feel like I was an actual coach because I had just started, and so from there, then I went into his group, and then when I came back, I started working on a plan to figure out exactly who I wanted to coach, because I wasn't that sure that creative people were actually who I wanted to coach. Intuition and creativity had to be there, because that's how I express myself. That's how I go through everything. And I knew that were kind of the tools I was going to use, but I didn't know who I wanted to help. So then I started to be like, okay, I want to get out of a corporate job because I want to have my own career. And this is being creative. So I'm going to help people that want to do that. So I started with that, and at the beginning I was like, yeah, men and women, no problem. But then I realized that actually working with women was easier because women are more keen to want to do that. Yeah, it just came very naturally. Like I didn't have that many men that wanted to work with me, or just I didn't come across that many men in general. I was meeting a lot of women that were more interested in that. And so I started to work with someone to get to a point where I could match my salary and with clients and leave my job.
Beautiful.
But that didn't happen that way. Because everybody was like, you hear so many people telling you, you can either start working part-time and then go full-time in your business, or don't leave your job if you don't have clients, if you don't have a salary, don't do this. And I was like, okay, but I got to a point where my soul was really killing myself, because like the company I was working with, for the people I was working with, it just was a dead end. And I kept trying to find a part-time job, and every recruiter was like, Mara, there are not part-time jobs in your position. And I was like, okay, what about receptionist? And then at the same time, receptionist is like, yeah, but it's not enough money.
Yeah.
And to go in a job that I know from the start that it's going to be something that I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Where I need to pretend that I'm happy just because I need a salary. Well, at least I have to match my salary right now, or something similar that is worth to do 2 or 3 days a week, where I actually, take home the money to pay the rent and whatever else. Because otherwise, what's the point? And so I got to a point last year where I was like, you know what? Like, my intuition screams at me in ways that sometimes I'm like, wow, okay. And so I was there thinking, okay, so I need to leave in June, and I'm going to save this much money, and I'm going to try to do this. But the thing is that my job was stressful. I hated the people I was working with. My boss was really pressuring me. Yeah, my boss was really pressuring me to leave, like, mobbing me, because he knew that I was capable, and he didn't want to handle me, because we had the same situation in the company we were in before. Then I left, and he joined after. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Universe? Really? And I was like, really? Again? Him? I'm gonna show him this time. It's gonna have to do. And then, yeah, of course, nothing happened. And I was like, okay. And so one day I'm walking into the park, because I used to cross the park. And the moment I walk into the park, I feel something from my belly, like a physical something coming up from my belly. And then I hear, just leave. And I'm like, okay, who is it? And I'm like, there is nobody around me. So I'm like, okay, fine. And I keep walking, and same thing happened for the next 3 times. And then I'm like, okay, universe, I got it. And then that day, I actually, the last 10 minutes on my walk to the office, I started thinking about how I could leave, how much money I needed, what kind of money I had saved, and how I could do it. And so that was February last year. And I was like, okay, so if I leave if I give my notice at the end of March, then they will give me my commission of the first quarter. I could actually easily make the commission from the next quarter. But then there is Easter, I can ask this much. So I was making all my calculation. And so this is what I did. I left. I had no clients, so I had no money coming in, but I just went with it. I didn't have that much savings. People were like, you need to have at least 10, 15K. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Do you have it? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I had nothing similar to that. But yeah, I just made it.
Beautiful.
I made it. I actually got to a point at the end of last year where when you start a business, what I didn't consider were all the money that you have to invest for the website, for whatever ever. And so I was starting to get a little bit stressed out. So I got a part-time job, because now I found a part-time job with my position where they give me the money that I used to make in a full-time position. And so my boss is amazing. And so I'm doing this full-time anyway, because I'm working from home thanks to the pandemic. So yeah, it's picking up now. So I don't know when I'm going to leave my part-time job, but everything worked out perfectly. And so, yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that journey with us. And I know I can relate, and I'm sure there's others that could also relate to those feelings and that resilience in you. I love that.
Oh, you have to. I think you have to. Otherwise, you just crumble down. And to me, feeling happy or feeling good has always been a thing. I didn't know that was a thing until I learned. I don't know. Just to me, feeling unhappy, feeling miserable, it's not something that can last for too long. Mm-hmm. It's never been like this. Even with a relationship, I'm like, okay, it's not working. So let's not pretend. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Okay, mm-hmm. Bye. So, and people don't get me, like, they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, yeah, no, I just don't want to be unhappy. I don't know about you. I know about me. So sorry, maybe you think I'm selfish, but it's self-care. Beautiful. Mine. Yeah.
Go girl. So I wanted to ask you, because I'm super curious about like the methods that you use in your coaching. So you have, I know you do color therapy, and using that intuitive part. Can you tell us more about the color therapy? I'm so curious.
Yeah. So what I do is I empower women to use to trust their intuition, because everybody is intuitive, but trusting your intuition is more complicated. Set their creativity free, manifest their vision, whatever that is, because I feel that, to me, creativity and intuition go together. And when I say creativity, I don't mean you need to be a painter. You can be creative in so many different ways in your life, even if you are an accountant. So, or like in your personal life. And so when I work with my clients, because I tune into people's energy, and of course I listen to what they say, but I just get intuitive messages where not necessarily you're telling me the full story. What I feel from you is what is going on with you. And so I have one-off sessions where I do color therapy, color readings. And so basically, the first one, you have to give me your date of birth, so then I can find your colors, because every number based on the day, the month, the year, and those three combined can give you 4 different colors, or it depends on what kind of numbers you have. You could have from 4 different colors to 2, 3, it depends. And so every color has potential in terms of affects you physically, affects you mentally, psychologically, and energetically. And every color has a meaning. So because I also do Reiki, and obviously if you combine what it means, what every chakra color means to your colors, then I can give you an overview of what you need to use. So basically, the color therapy chart gives you an overview of the characteristic of the color based on what you have. Like you came here with your gift, right? So tells you what are your characteristics, things that you can use. And then it tells you things that if you, characteristic of the color that if you learn to use, then you're going to improve your life. And then colors related to your mission and your life purpose. And so when I do a color reading, the moment I'm writing down the colors and I'm making all the calculation with the numbers, I start to feel things, and I need to start writing down because every color has specific characteristics. So I just need to look what color you have. But then when I'm reading, when I'm tuning into your energy, I start to feel things. Maybe you tell me, Mara, I want to know, I want to leave my job and I want to know if I will be successful, or my fear is that, I don't know, I won't be supported by my family and friends, whatever. And so you just have to tell me what it is that you need guidance on. And then I just tune into your energy. And then what I do, I just talk to you, and we talk about your situation. And then depending on the situation, I have different things that I ask the client to do. Could be a meditation, could be talking about the color straight away, and then I give the reading, and I get them to tell me if that makes any sense. And so then I do the coaching session with them based on the colors and what I feel they should be working on more. And that's when I find it fascinating, because a lot of times I just need to say a couple of things. They're like, oh my God, how do you know? And sometimes it's just so strong, the feeling that I get, that is nothing to do with the colors. It's just a feeling that I have. And then I write down whatever it is that I feel, and maybe how to release anxiety, I don't know, or things like that. And they're like, how do you know? That happened to me the other day, and I was feeling exactly like you told me. And I just don't have an explanation. I just feel it. I always been like that. I never knew this was a thing. This was something that and the thing is that the more you work on your intuition and your energy, the more you start to read more. So there are a lot of people that tell me, oh, I can read the energy as soon as I walk into a room, but then I'm not intuitive. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. It's just that we don't think we can use our intuition, but even just you wake up in the middle of the night with a feeling that it's weird, or you have a dream, or
what? Wait, can we stop there? What's that about? Because sometimes, a lot lately, I wake up at the weirdest times, like wide awake, like I'm supposed to be doing something, and I'm like, what?
Well, but that sometimes is just like your body, your soul is trying to tell you something. So maybe just write down what's going on, because then you go to bed and you don't necessarily remember when you wake up, or what were you feeling, what dream you had. But there are messages there. There are messages in everything. It's just a matter of really tuning in and listening. Like, you could be going through something, and then you hear a song, and you have that sentence of the song that keeps on popping up in your head, and that is a message. But oftentimes we don't really think that's the case. There are so many ways you can listen to your intuition, but to me, it's really much about learning to trust the messages you're receiving and that they are the correct one for you. So this is what I work a lot on with my clients, because then I don't really have to do anything. It just, you need to learn to believe in yourself, because we have the answers to everything. Mm-hmm. Even like if you have a pain in your body, mm-hmm. That is something there. There is an emotion that has not been dealt with, and it's coming up with a pain because you don't want to deal with that emotion.
Absolutely. It's dis-ease. I hear a lot of people saying that when you're not at ease.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do we get sessions with you? How could myself and my audience reach out?
Okay, so my website is being redone, but it's still the old one is still active. So either you go on my website, theintuitionqueen.com, or you can just email me, hello@theintuitionqueen.com.
Beautiful.
and you can tell me what do you want, because I have a program which is a 4-month program that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. And so in that program, the aim is to get you to trust your intuition. So in doing that, there's going to be a lot of things that I do, from releasing your stories, old stories, family stories, talking about your values. But I don't have set situations, because it all depends on your energy, my energy, and the situation we're going to be talking about. I use cards sometimes, I use crystals. So it depends on the person. If I meet people that don't want to deal with spirituality, then I just go and I do a normal coaching session, just going through whatever is going on and getting them to do things, tasks. I give them tasks if the client is not able to come up with something to do. We're going to talk about it in the next session. Otherwise, I have one-off sessions. Either is the color therapy session or an intuitive session when you just want to get unstuck or want to know more about something. And what I do, depending on what I feel is right for you, we'll dig into that, and it could be a different kind of things, but it's always going to be related to what I do. So it's Reiki, colors, emotions, and things like that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
So I also want to talk to you about your podcast, because
Yes.
you've been doing that for a while, and I want to hear everything. How did that come about? How has that been?
Well, so the first time that I saw Marie TV, Marie Forleo, I was like, I want to do What's the Fun.
Love her.
And so when last year I started to coach with Jake, I remember that I said to him, okay, so I want to have a podcast. He was like, yeah, okay, let's talk about having people following you. And I was like, yeah, okay, as long as at some point I get to do my podcast. And so in September last year, I started this podcast called Intuitive Queens. At the beginning, I actually wanted to have some male guests, but then as I went on, I just felt it was more thing for women. Although I realized that I have a lot of men listening to me, because the podcast, I interview women that have at some point decided or had to listen to their intuition, and they went through whatever struggles, fears, limiting beliefs, tragedies, and they managed to turn their life around. And they now do what they always wanted to do. They now do their soul purpose. And so there are a variety of stories of women that have had to go through a lot of things, and they just share their story, and then they tell us what they do. And I also have solo episodes. From February, I started to do some solo episodes. But yeah, for me, it was more because I wanted to inspire people. Because I feel that every one of us has a story to tell and has something to share that can inspire someone else. And because when I talk to women, unfortunately, we are all so much into, oh, I don't know, I'm not good enough, my story is not important, nobody wants to hear about me. So I kind of wanted to share as many different stories as possible, just to say, look, in all of those stories, there is something you can relate to. Someone has gone through the same thing you're going through right now, has felt in the same way you're feeling right now, and they made changes in their lives, and they made them whatever they wanted happen. So I have women that I've had, they've been in abusive relationships, and now they're helping women getting out of abusive relationship. One of my friends lost her husband when she was 38 because he had a brain tumor, and she created a foundation in US that helps brain tumor patients. And and she's going strong. She's been going on for 19 years, and she's super passionate about helping women, people learning more, and even just getting the right treatment. There are so many stories of people, and to me it's just like, I hope you get inspired, and I hope that you take action, either with the person that I am interviewing, with me, with someone else. It doesn't matter, but I hope that inspires you to be like, okay, she did it, I went through the exact same thing, I can do it too. It's really just about that. And so that's why I want to have a variety of women from different backgrounds, different cultures, different everything, because I'm pretty sure that at least one person will relate. And so if one person relates, that's enough for me.
I love that. Yeah. You're amazing. That makes me happy to hear.
But I thought, I related to so many people when they were telling their story, and I was like, okay, well, it does work. You do feel like you're not alone. And so this is the point of the whole thing, and I just have so much fun doing it.
Right? I hear you.
Yeah.
So Mara, I want to talk about something kind of funny. Well, I wanted to introduce my question with your opinion of Italian food in America.
Okay, so just bear in mind, I'm fully Italian. It's funny. Yeah, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of what is Italian and what is not Italian. But yeah, interesting. Let's say that, when we were trying to figure out where to go to dinner every night, and there was that Italian restaurant we went to the last night, I remember Joe saying, "Oh, let's go to the Italian restaurant." I'm like, and Susanna was like, "Why don't you want to go?" I was like, "Because I'm pretty sure it's not Italian." But look, I moved to London, and there are so many restaurants that say this is Italian. I'm like, this is not Italian. I am very picky with food because I come from Italy, and so if you tell me this is a pasta with pesto, and there are things in there that have nothing to do with pasta with pesto, well, sorry, I'm not gonna say this is pasta with pesto. And yeah, I have these conversations a lot with people. So they're like, "Oh, Mara's not gonna have coffee because this is not coffee for her." I'm like, "Yeah, no, sorry."
Coffee. Yeah. So have you had good coffee here?
Well, in US, I didn't drink coffee in US. Sorry, but I don't drink coffee here in London. I drink coffee outside of my house only if I know the coffee is good. Sorry, I'm terrible. I always say that to everybody. I'm like,
that's good. You have a standard. I want to know more about this food and coffee.
Yeah, even my friends are like, "Oh, so I really would like to go to an Italian restaurant. I was thinking to go to that place." I'm like, "What's the name?" Okay, no. Let me check the references here. And I'm hopeful. Talking about Italian food, I'm super picky. So my friends now know. So they're like, "Okay, so Mara, tell us where can we go?"
Exactly. So Mara, tell us. Tanya, yeah, she lives in London. Hey, Leva. Hey, guys. Hey, girls. But
hello, everybody.
In London for 11 years now. So, but just her passion and her love for her food from her hometown.
I live in Battersea.
Battersea? Where's that?
Yes, it's south of London. So London, you have north and south of the river, the River Thames. And so I'm south of the river.
Nice.
Some people don't go north or south of the river. Like, it's like, I'm not going to go south. I learned this when I moved here. I was like, what? Yeah. I live south. I don't go north of the river. I'm like, okay. But I have to say, because Jay kept on saying pizza in New York is really good. So Ryan had some pizza and I tried it, and actually that was good. I've
Ooh.
been told that you need to go to the corner pizza. I was like, okay, so yeah, so that was good.
I have, my dogs are barking. I have a few places in the Bronx where I think the best Italian food I've ever had is, that maybe next time you come, we could check out, if it's open, at Author Avenue. And there's a lot of authentic, well, in my opinion, places and markets, and it's amazing there. I love it there.
Now, you know what I learned? I used to live with a Canadian girl, and her parents were all Italian, but the mother and the father moved to Canada when they were about 6 and 10 years old with their parents. And so when they came to visit, what I learned is that all the communities, the Italian communities, and I guess it's the same in the US, keep on going on with the old traditions and the old things that the grandparents used to have. And so when she had pretty much my age, and she was telling me about things and food I used to have, I was like, this is what my grandparents used to have. Like, if you go to Italy now, this doesn't exist anymore. Like, those traditions don't exist anymore. This dishes don't exist anymore because they've been, used differently, because they still have the old way of eating and being Italian, because it comes from the old generations.
Can you tell me more details, please?
Yeah, I think it's like, a lot of Italians moved with the boat, because obviously.
What part of Italy is your family from?
So my dad I'm from Milan, so it was from there. My mom is from the south of Italy. So if you know, Italy is like a boot. Mm-hmm. So my mom is from the hill of the Italy.
Cool.
So yeah, it's two completely different cultures. Like it's so different. And so basically a lot of Italians, especially from the south of Italy, moved to a lot of different countries like Australia because of the war. So they moved to Australia, a lot in Germany, and a lot went to US, Canada. And so people like the generation of our parents moved to those countries when they were very young, if they managed to move, unless they were born in those new countries. And so all the traditions that they have now, so if you go to Little Italy anywhere in the world, I was in Little Italy in San Francisco, and I was like, what is this? And because you see all the things that I used to see when I was a child, or when I used to be.
I like that Chinatown in San Francisco.
Yeah, but there are a lot of there are a lot of things that you also can see in the movies that are coming from a period of Italy that is no longer there, because it belongs to what I would say my grandparents. Wow. And so, so to older generation way of doing things, the way of behaving, certain food. And so when they were talking to me about it, I was like, yeah, we don't do that in Italy anymore. And so this is what's happening. So say that your parents moved to New York when they were little, and you are Italian American, you're going to have that kind of tradition. And then you have this community of Italian American like you that were born in America but have parents or grandparents that are Italian. So you keep on going on with those traditions, thinking that they are like Italians. They were, but you're still holding on to old traditions and a way of doing things. And so it's quite funny for me when I hear certain things. I'm like, we're going back on time, because this no longer happens in Italy, or it used to be like this when my grandparents.
Can you give me a few examples?
I can't really remember, but she was talking about certain celebrations and way of doing things, or I can't think of an
old
example.
Recipes, maybe.
That, or even just way of doing things in the family. I really can't think of something. But I just remember having this conversation with her mom and being like, oh, yeah, well, we don't do that anymore. But it's just funny. It was really funny for me to see how, tradition hang on to you and stick to you, and you try to keep going on and on and on. And then, of course, then you put together the tradition of the country you're in. And so, yeah, and I had a client a couple of weeks ago. She's from New York. Her family is Italian. And so we were talking about certain things. She's like, oh my God, this is the same. Like the reaction or the way of saying things. And yeah, I find it fascinating.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And,
no problem.
But I'm still going to get a recipe out of you. So tell me an old school recipe, maybe your grandmother made that you love, or it doesn't have to be a recipe, just a favorite food.
Okay, I'm going to give you something very quick, because if I have to give you my favorite one, are very complicated. Because I love the things that my mom does from the South. My favorite food. Okay, so it's one of the pasta recipes that I really love. I just like, when you want to have something that is tasty, it's quick, it's tasty. But it's one of the recipes that around the world is done in the wrong way. So I'm going to give you the right way. So every time I'm here, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not the one. Sorry, I'm going to have something else. So it's carbonara.
Oh, that's my favorite.
And actually, my mom made it differently. But then I went to Rome, which is where it comes from. So carbonara pasta, it's typical from Rome. So I went to my friend's wedding. Her father has a restaurant. So he came to me, was like, come here, I'll show you how you do it properly. I was like, okay, this sounds like a threat. And he's like, you put cream in there? I was like, yeah, my mom does. No, that's not how you do it. Now I'll show you.
That's true. Wow, now you're bringing me back a memory. Do you crack the egg on it?
Yeah, inside the pasta. You do it before. You whisk it first.
Oh my God, I'm dying right now. You were speaking to my heart. Okay.
I love it. Like, to me, it's like when I want something. I lost you, Jen. Oh, I'm alone. Where are you? So I'm going to give you the recipe anyway, and I hope you can come back. Oh, let me just check with her, because now I'm by myself over here. She's active. Okay, she's coming right back, so I'm going to start to give the recipe. Okay, so you take onions, not too much. Okay. So you take an onion, and it depends on how many people you're going to have. But say this is for 2 people, so half an onion, even less. You just slice it very, very thin, and then you put olive oil in the pan. You put the onion in there, and when it starts to become very soft, and then you put in there, there you are.
I'm back. Okay, my computer, I told you, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Thank you.
I thought so.
I'm calling Apple today.
Let me start again, because I just started, so I don't want you to miss it.
Okay.
All right, so you take an onion, and it depends on how many people you're going to be. But say it's for 2 people, a small onion, you cut it in half, you slice it very thin, and then olive oil in the frying pan, a little bit, not too much, and then you put the onion in there, and then you have to have pancetta, bacon, and you put the bacon in there. In the meantime, you have to whisk. It's an egg per person. So if you're 2 people, you whisk 2 eggs in there with Parmesan and salt and pepper. So that's done. So while the bacon takes
now, do you whisk the egg, the whole egg, or just the yolks?
The whole egg.
The whole egg.
Yeah.
Okay, raw, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
So
because I've seen it sometimes served with the raw egg on top, and then you kind of mix it in. I know. Okay. This is why I'm happy
don't
to
say
talk
that
with
to
you.
me. Don't say that to me, please.
Okay, I'm on this. Okay.
I told you I'm terrible.
I love you. This is great. This is my favorite. Okay.
And then you just start to boil the water for the pasta. When you boil the water, please don't put olive oil in there. You don't need any
big
oil.
Mistake. It makes the sauce slide off the noodles, people. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I don't know why people do that.
I don't understand that. Salt okay though?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
have to put salt.
Thank you.
Either before or after it boils, but you have to put salt. You put the pasta in there, then you rinse it, then you put it back in the pan. And at that point, you can either put the pasta in the frying pan and then you put the egg, or you can put the pasta back in the pan where you cooked it, you put the bacon, and then you put the egg, and you have to have it on. So you keep having the fire on, and then you stir it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love you.
And then just put a little bit of pepper when you have it on the plate.
I'm hungry.
I know. I think it's super tasty. Sometimes I really crave for it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have carbonara tonight.
I'm gonna make that this weekend.
Yeah. So easy.
Beautiful.
But
Thank you for that.
Thank
you. There's a lot of misconception out there, y'all. We gotta get on this.
Yeah. If you need any recipe, ask me. I'll tell you how to do it.
I will hold you to that. So Mara, my next question is, I like to ask all my guests, which I see that you have a lot of superpowers, but if you could choose one that you don't already have, what would that one be?
One that I don't already have. Oh my God. Be a good singer. Sing? Yeah. Like if I had, like, I'd love to have a good voice, like, but I don't. So. Normally,
are you sure you don't?
No. You don't want to hear me sing, although I'm always singing out loud. But yeah, no.
To be able to sing, that must be so nice, honestly.
Yeah, you have that voice that everybody's like, oh my God, I love your voice. You're so good. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Beautiful. All right. And then I wanted to check in with you also. How have you been doing throughout this whole unique point in history? I don't like to say COVID or challenging time, but I mean, it is all of that. But how have you been through everything?
Very good.
Amazing.
Well, look, I think I'm very lucky because I have a garden and I have enough space in my home, and I live with just another girl. So, and to me, this has given me a lot of time to focus on my business. And because I feel people's energy, staying within and stay in, for me, it's been great. I really don't mind. I love being by myself. Mm-hmm. I love being with myself. Mm-hmm. I'm not that kind of person that feels lonely or doesn't know what to do. I always find things to do. I really rarely get bored. And so, like, to me, and now I'm slowing down a lot. But until like probably say 3-4 weeks ago, I was like doing so much. I started to learn new things that I want to incorporate in my coaching, but also just because I realized I love so much learning new things, the ones that I'm really passionate about. And so for me, it's been like, oh my God, thank you, universe. So now I don't have any distraction. I have a garden here, so I've been going out for walks around where there are no people. So I discovered some really nice streets around my house that I didn't know, because, sometimes you just don't have to go through that part of the city or the street. So to avoid the park, which was always too busy here, I just went around. So for me, this has been great. It's just because I'm so passionate and I like to meet people, do stuff, go to concerts. do things. And so London, I guess, is a little bit like London is like New York. There's so many things you can do, so many events, so many people coming here to do concerts, and friends you want to meet, and new places that are opening. And so, you start to get very much distracted because there's so much going on. And so I was like, okay, thank you. This is exactly what I needed. So for me, this has been great. I think there's been like a little bit of a shift energetically with the situation that has happened with you guys with George Floyd, because obviously a lot of people had to take a stand, and I had to really figure out what I knew, what I didn't. And so I think for me, energetically, it's been quite draining, because I had to really figure out where I was, and learning that I knew nothing. And I was like, okay, right. So here means that I need to do something about it, because I don't like this situation. And so I've been kind of like, okay, so how do I go about in my business? And I had plans. I was going to do this. Now, do I still do it? What can I do? I don't want to be disrespectful, and I want to actually learn more about this situation and do something about it. And so those 2 weeks for me have been probably a little bit all over the place, because I really want to understand more and do more, and be there for this revolution. But my take on 2020, it's the universe forcing us to look within and face whatever it is that doesn't work in our life in a way or in another, and make this place a better place. So this is what it is for me.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Everything you said really resonated with me even up into this morning, where I was thinking like, what more could I do? And I have a few ideas of that. And just thank you so much for sharing that and making me feel that I'm not alone in those feelings or thoughts.
Oh, no, look, I'm doing some live videos on Instagram, because I'm mainly more active on Instagram, because I'm focusing on Instagram, because I started last year to be a bit all over the place, and I went nowhere. So I was like, okay, it has to be one at a time. Yeah. And so I've been doing a few lives, because I created this 3 lives with a meaning. So prepare yourself to manifest your vision, because what I realized happened for me, but what I see my clients also struggling with, is this thing for which you work so much on something, but then when get into what you want, if you're not prepared, either you're not going to get there, or you get there and it's not what you expected, and you're not ready, and then things slip off your hands. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to create some sort of like live sessions where I talk about 3 different topics that are all aligned together. And so I think this is very relevant to what we're going through now. Like, you have to be prepared to what you want. It's not just about taking the actions. If you're not prepared emotionally, if you haven't worked on yourself emotionally, if you haven't worked on yourself energetically, mentally, you're not going to be prepared and ready and fully able to receive what it is that you want, right? I've seen this with myself. And I see this with my clients, where, then you get frustrated because you can't reach your goal. You can't manifest whatever it is that you want, but it doesn't happen like this. And it doesn't happen if only you follow the action, but you don't do any inner work.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. I agree with you on that. Big time.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, is there anything that you could share with the audience as like a takeaway that maybe has helped you a lot, or you just feel the need to share today?
Well, since we were talking about 2020, I think it's been crazy for a lot of people, for all of us, in a good or in a bad way. I think we have all learned, and we are all learning, and 2020 is not over. And I don't think there's going to be a lot more coming in. And I think that it's about time that we really face our fears and really try to figure out where we are, where we want to be. So whatever feelings are popping up or have been popping up, they are still there. fear, anger, loneliness, whatever. Don't shy away from figuring out where is that coming from, why you feel in that way, and just stay within and try to figure out why you feel that way. Yeah, it might be because of the global situation, because of a personal situation, but it's not just related to this situation. It's coming from whole stuff. It's coming from maybe your childhood. It's maybe coming from your family story, from your ancestor story. It's coming from somewhere that is not necessarily from now. So now it's the triggering point, but it starts before. So stay within your feeling, listen to yourself, and that's the only way you can release what's going on and feel better about it.
Beautiful. I could talk to you for hours, and I just appreciate your time so much.
Of course.
I do have one more quick question. So remember at the summit, we picked like what platform we wanted to go on like the most. What did you pick?
Oh, at the time I picked Facebook. And then I switched to Instagram because my Facebook doesn't have that many people. I mean, I have a lot of connections, but they're not necessarily the people that I need. While I had created more of my kind of clients on Instagram. And so that's why I decided to go there first. And then eventually I want to start my group, and I've been wanting to do that for a while. And I have a lot of ideas how I want to expand my podcast and use the guests that I've been having. But for me right now, it's Instagram. It just works well. It takes less time, and it's giving me more joy than Facebook. And also because from January, I started working part-time. I felt creating a Facebook group at that time was too much for me. Mm-hmm. And so I went with Instagram, which is less work, and it's easier to do on your phone. You don't have to be necessarily on a computer and all that. So that's my place.
Beautiful.
For now.
Mine was LinkedIn, and I haven't even opened the app since then.
I know that would be even for me, that would be the clever choice. But
I don't even know how to use it or why I picked LinkedIn. But have you used it?
I use it last. I post my weekly podcast.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes I post something else. I mean, I'm there, but it's not my focus. I think for me, and this is for me only, I know that because ideally, when I have ideas and stuff, I'm like, bam, 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 I'm going to do this. But then the thing is that because I get really passionate about what I want to do, then I start to do so much and too much. Mm-hmm. And then I get frustrated because I'm tired and I do nothing. And I realized that for me, it really is, okay, you do one thing, you master that thing, and then you move to the next. And then you move to the next, and then you move to the next, which means it's going to take longer, but I avoid to be overwhelmed. So I know this is how I work. I need to know that I have mastered Instagram, and then I'll move to Facebook, and then I'll move to LinkedIn. And that's it. Because enough of those social media. I mean, I think, yes, you have to be in as many as possible, but then I guess it's also you need to choose which one. I never wanted to be on Pinterest or Twitter anyway, so they're not my choice. LinkedIn, I think, for what I do will make a lot of sense, but at the same time, I don't know enough, and I don't want to waste my time right now. I have a lot of executive coaches and coaches that coaches messaging me every single week, and I'm like, no, I don't know. If you have a message that you really want to connect with me, no, you don't really want to connect with me. Yeah. So, and or I have, every time I put a video, they're like, oh, you can improve your, it's not my focus right now. I know, I should be everywhere whenever the more my business grows, the more I will be able to, hire someone to do, put the subscription on my videos and whatever, edit my podcast. But right now I'm fine. So I think it's like a lot of, I also see with my clients, like, oh, I need to do, I'm like, yeah, okay. Wait, one thing at a time. This works for me, but works with a lot of people. One thing at a time, and then you move to the next. And I know it takes more time, but hey, this is part of the process, I think.
Beautiful. And it's fun.
Yeah. And to me, I like to know what I'm doing and how it works. So even if I had to give, my social media management to someone else, at least I know they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Mara. Well, we're about at an hour now, and I just want to thank you again for coming on. And I've just learned so much, and I'm so grateful for you. And I hope that we get to see each other in the near future.
New York is on my list. It's the first thing of the list. And actually, Bon Jovi was going to play on the 27th. My birthday is on the 17th of July. So my idea was to come to New York for my birthday and then see Bon Jovi and give myself that present, because it was going to sing with Bryan Adams. But
oh my God, stop.
But wait, because now they're doing it next year. So I'm going to have to be there.
Are tickets on sale now?
I don't know.
Let me know. I'm there.
Probably. But I know everything is being moved to next year. I was going to go and see Aerosmith, but hey, 2021, I'm going to be in US most of the time.
My flights are still booked. I'm going to Chicago early next month. I'm going to Dallas early August. I'm ready to be out.
All right. Well, enjoy that.
Thanks. And let me know when those tickets go on sale.
I will, for sure.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, my love. Well, I just want to acknowledge the beautiful birds that have been chirping in the background. They sound so happy.
I know. They're so loud. Everybody's like,
no, they're beautiful. I love that.
I know. I love them. They've been very, very loud since the lockdown. And actually, I have a lot of trees just outside the door.
Part of my favorite part of lockdown is the birds. Like, I've noticed they seem happier and more vocal.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you, Angel. So good to see you
and connect with you. And thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I actually have another guest coming on tonight. I have a double show today. So tune in tonight at 8 p.m. EST. And don't forget to comment in the captions or whatever it's called, because I'm giving a giveaway and I hope it's you. All right. Love you guys. Have a good day.
Bye. Ciao.